Okay, now it's yours.
Good morning. My name is John Murphy, and I am a managing member of the applicant Upstate Path Lab. And with me, I have Kurt Charland, who is with, I still say Bergman, but it's Colliers Engineering, representative who will be doing the site work for us. Jim Messenger, who is our counsel. And we have a number of people that are on the call with us representing the rest of our development team by way of
Yep, some folks from SLAM who are the architectural team, and then LaChase who's going to be the construction management team.
we also will be using a firm called ME Engineering for the MEP work out of Rochester. So thank you for having us.
Did you guys bring a jump drive or anything?
We previously,
I had sent that. I did not bring one with me.
Well, it's up to you. I mean,
Yeah, I don't have it with me. I did not know you needed. We sent the electronic files.
that's it. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, that's the floor plan. I don't know if you have all the plans.
the site plan previously.
well, it would have come in with that.
Kurt, we have them. We could bring them up and share our screen. That helps.
Yeah, why don't you do
That'd be
that?
fun, yeah.
Sometimes it's easier if you present it yourself so you know what you're looking at. Right, just make sure that.
All right, Ian or Matt, do you want to do that?
Well, they're bringing them up, maybe we could do a description of the project.
Yes,
Hey, John, can I interrupt? Sorry, I'm really sorry. This is Gabe Comstock with SLAM. I think we've got a few people that are showing in the call, but may not have been let in, which is a little weird. Can I just bother somebody to ask to make sure that the host has let everybody in? We can share those plans quicker that way.
Yeah, everybody-
in the waiting room.
Yeah, nobody's in the waiting room.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay. Well, let's go down.
I just got on, Gabe. Zian Walsh with SLAM. What is looking to be shared here?
Ian, do you have the files I sent you? Well, I think I resent them yesterday. Just, the site plan will be handy.
Yep, I can bring that up.
October of 22, we acquired the 33 acre campus referred to as Upstate Bone and Joint on Fly Road.
Let me just preface this. We're ready to have 15 minutes of what we scheduled for, so go ahead.
All right. We acquired that October 22. There's approximately 23 vacant acres that came along with us. During the past year, we did a subdivision of that vacant parcel with this planning board. And we're in front of the board now seeking site plan approval to construct a 3-story, 108,000 square foot pathology lab on site. The building is a non-public, one-user, long-term lease pathology lab, which would allow for Upstate Medical to expand and consolidate all under one roof. Right now, they're currently in 5 locations in 3 different buildings. And we'll pull that up. Ian Walsh, our architect, will be pulling the site plan up for this.
Yep, John, so we should be able to see that now. You let me know if you want to go into any other plans or where we need to head from here.
Hold on a sec. Just gotta
Go ahead.
stop. Oh, there we go.
We can see it now.
So that's really quickly, Kurt, I'm going to ask you to speak a little bit about the site plan.
Yeah, sure. So the main drive coming in, the Bone and Joint Center is located down in the lower right-hand corner.
To the site.
Oh, you're talking about-
The site.
Right, I was gonna say, so this is the existing Bone and Joint Center. So this is the main entrance off from Fly Road, 6620 Fly Road. So there's our access to the project site, which is, as John mentioned, a little over 23 acres, is going to be off in that existing drive. There's going to be 2 entrances into the overall site. The first being the primary entrance for employees. They have deliveries, things like that. There really aren't any visitors that are planned for this, occasionally maybe, but and we have a few spaces planned for that. The second entrance is primarily for the truck entrance. So it accesses the truck docks, which are located on the back of the building. The site topography as it goes is higher towards the main entrance off from Fly Road, so the topography drops off. So as you kind of come down the site, the far corner is where we have planned, stormwater for the project. I know when we initially met with the town kind of preliminarily, we had talked that there were some wetlands that had been delineated on site, walked with the Army Corps. We have since received a favorable decision on that. They've been non-jurisdictional. So all those wetlands there are no wetlands anymore. So those have been eliminated from the site, which really helped us. We actually went back and redesigned the site so that we could put the stormwater in kind of those lower areas. So as you can see here, we have the primary stormwater here. We have some bioretention along the front. The main frontage of the building will essentially just be what you'll see in the elevations, with the parking located in the back. For this particular site, we're showing 255 parking spaces. Code requires 713, I believe. 721 spaces. What we've done, and we talked about this at our initial meeting as well, we've shown 250 total future spaces. There's a few spaces on this side as well, but 250 future spaces to be parked on the site to kind of show that we're able to park 505 spaces on the site for the site, because this particular site doesn't have any visitors or anything. It doesn't meet 721. We provided some information in our cover letter that shows the shift work and stuff.
Yeah, I think the concern that we have is when pathology moves out and somebody else moves in. I know it's a long-term lease, I know, but things change, right?
Right.
And this building becomes an office building.
Which is the reason for the parking spot.
But if the size of the building at 108,000 square feet requires 700, would you say 721?
721, I think it was.
And between the two parking fields, you're able to get 500. You're still 221 short, right? So we'd need,
Okay.
yeah, or a big variance.
Yep.
In that instance. So, yeah, that's the thing that we need to address is this building realistically could become in the future an office. So we need to think about parking. Site layout, what needs to happen. And if you don't need the full 721 now, we can certainly work with you. We just have to figure out what the best approach is. How to achieve.
Yeah, I think initially that's one of the conversations we had. We were going to pursue the variance for the reduction in spaces, 721 to the 505 that we do park, and then we were going to show that in the future we could park those, spaces that could fill the gap between the 255 that we have and the extra for the park. So the objective of this, I think, the only variance we have on this project right now is the park that we pursue. So.
Okay. The building will have a backup generator, which will be running 3 shifts, 7 days a week. We are incorporating electronic vehicle charging stations and deployments, and this building will also have a drone landing pad.
I heard charging stations. What was the second thing you said?
Yeah, so there's a drone landing pad, which we've identified on the site plan. It's up near the parking lot. I think there's also going to be a drone landing pad on the roof.
There is not.
There's not anymore. The charging stations, EV charging stations are shown in the plan as well. They're that for generating parking. You have 25.
What are those?
That's pretty wild. So pathology lab and the drones, that's going to need a backstory eventually.
That's close to the like.
They've already been discussed. They have a growing network with small cities.
Oh, yeah.
It's beyond mine. It's not my area, but
Okay.
I mean, this site's pretty close to the flight path for the airport. So, I mean,
Yeah, what we're just talking about.
Yeah, they've been looking into all that.
yeah, the tenant has a very
So I'm just gonna, like, it's really hard for the people on the screen to hear when the fan kicks on.
Gotcha.
That's the mic up there.
Oh,
Gotcha.
So when
Yeah, I'm
everybody
definitely,
turns and looks
it's
at the
definitely only
screen,
hearing
Tom,
one or two
turn
voices.
their back to the mic.
Doug, the Upstate Medical University has a growing and a significant and growing drone segment and throughout all of central New York. So they have been working constantly with the airports and the FAA to address this. And when they went and selected our site, they had sufficient approvals that they would be able to bring drones into this site in relationship to where the airport is. So it's,
Okay.
it's already been thought of and discussed with the appropriate people.
Thank you.
Questions?
No progression on building architecture.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian, if you'd like to bring up, while I have one other thing I talk about, bring up the elevations and you guys could kind of talk about those, that would be great.
You're gonna have to unfortunately talk fast. We have probably about 4 minutes left.
That's all right. I got a quick, one thing that we do need to flush out early because the site is within a mile of a bat roosting site. It isn't identified as one, is we need to get clearing done for this site within that November to March 31st window. So we were trying to understand what the town's process was for just site clearing of major trees which that's required. Would we need to go through site plan approvals prior to that? Is there a way to flush out the site clearing without land disturbance that we can complete that process? Because we're obviously working in the short window here for 31st.
You need to apply for a grading and fill permit, and then we would need to know what the site plan was gonna look like, so.
Yeah.
So
Which we have, we can identify limited disturbance and stuff like that, but obviously we wouldn't impact the soils because we don't want to start erosion control and all our foot and all that. They would just go in and merely clear the substantial trees that would be considered potential bad.
But we would need it.
Yeah.
We would need a grading and fill permit.
Okay.
Right, because the size of the,
Tree clearing.
well, the size of the trees in the town of DeWitt
Right.
are trigger that, right? So anything over, what is it, like 3 or 4 inches?
Right.
Triggers the grading and fill permit, is my understanding.
Right.
It's something that can be issued prior to site plan approvals, right?
If it's limited to just
If there's no grading,
No
no changing the, there's
I'd have to look at the code.
Okay,
I'd have to
we
look at
just,
the code.
yeah, we
Because DeWitt's a little bit different, right? Like I just told Nate,
sure.
it's all a function of the trees and what you're clearing it for.
Okay.
Right, because what the town doesn't want to have is they don't want a site cleared and then you don't do anything.
Right.
Right.
Gotcha. Related to that, we've done phase 1 and phase 2 on the Tucker site with no problems whatsoever. We've already made some minor clearing and other direction of approval of the town for us to do soil borings. We have no soil condition. Site.
We've completed the traffic study. We also don't require any mitigation of Fly Road for that.
Elevations.
Ian, would you like to give a quick run through? I know we only got a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'll do that here. This is Gabe Comstock,
Okay,
the
got
design
you.
lead. Yeah, thanks, Kurt. So real quickly here, I'm not sure what everybody's seen in the past, but what you're seeing now, essentially the massing still stayed the same. We're starting to populate this through a model, the Revit model, which is a little more construction and detailed for design development. But we've still got a largely metal paneled skin. It's got a variegated pattern is what we're imagining to it, a very light shift in each pattern panel. Maybe not even as much as the model shows here, just a light gradation change. The lower story is a CMU, a fluted CMU, just for efficiency and to give it a little plinth to sit on. There's some nice features going on. There's a rough, I guess with glass, it's been strategically placed to get light into the labs and to not make this a big high-tech modern, big glass, overly modern glass block. So the massing still stayed the same. There's a few things that have changed. We've got an elevator overrun in this top elevation, which is the west side. That's right next to the main entrance of the building, which is really a public, not a public, but a staff entrance since it's non-public. So you see the massing of the elevator overrun going up to the roof. We're showing some equipment on the roof at the moment, and I guess that's about it. We can swing around and look at the other elevations. Just for the sake of time, it's static. We don't have a model open, so it's a little hard to.
I do have the model, Gabe, if we want to just flip over to it. So
Yeah, I think we're out of time. I just
Yeah,
want to
I
make sure.
mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we're running short on time here. I think it's,
So this is the side that faces the parking lot. This is the side that faces north, and then the side that faces, he's coming around, is the side that faces the Fly Road entrance road as he comes around.
yeah, I mean, on first glance, I appreciate it. I will say, I do appreciate you showing the mechanical on the roof. You know, that's always good for, it's gonna need to be screened, so give that some consideration. We're not gonna wanna see that up there. So it should tie into the rest of the
Okay,
building
Jen,
language.
what's your schedule so we can have an appreciation to move things for you?
we would love to be, with all due respect, we'd love to be the ground people. You know, get the trees done between now and the next 30 days, and then possibly April. And whether or not we consider just seeking a grading permit to get started while we're in the process, but this, as soon as possible. What you don't see here is we spent 9 months with the tenant designing all the interiors to the 3D, to the point where now at the point where we're putting case goods and case work into the property, into the various floors. There's been a very, very in-depth and elaborate design process with the tenant.
you take them in, John.
Yeah, we'll review kind of where we are, what needs to get done, and the track system that you're on, see what we can do for that one. You know, I don't know what we can promise as of yet until I have an opportunity to talk to Jane or Doug.
Yeah.
But we'll see what we can do to help push this through, just make sure that you're meeting all of the deliverable deadlines and responding to comments and stuff that we have from that, so.
Appropriate.
Excuse me, just a question on the parking, because some of it I just could not hear. It was a little mumbly before we got the mic going. What is your desire with respect to the parking?
So our desire would be to build 255 spaces on the site, and that's based on the requirements from the tenant, specific requirements on their staff and their shifts. And then we currently show an additional 250 future spaces. So our desire would be to have a variance issued to reduce the parking requirement from 721 to 505 spaces that we show on the site. 250 of those of which would be parked as, just shown as paper parked for future, not necessarily built unless necessary for this development or potentially down the road.
So we just need to discuss that further, and we can, the board can put 25% in reserve. No need for a parking variance. It's soon. That's going to be passed by the town board within the next month. So that would be an ability we would have if you wanted to go that route and build more. Otherwise, we would recommend on a variance, and we'll have to see how the board feels about that. I'm not sure we've really talked about it. The other thing that's in our code is that you can have 50% of parking off-site. Right now, it's all one lot. If that other one was made a separate lot, that could be a possibility.
Is there any sort of outbuildings for drone storage?
No, not at this time.
Just so
We did, are you amenable to us applying for a grading plan?
I would say at this point, start that process, give Doug the opportunity to do it, and figure out what needs to happen. but at least you're starting that application process. And then we'll be looking at this, like Jamie said, we've got parking, one of the town board, give us a little more control of some of that parking. But that's not until later this month, so add it to that. And we'll look at some of the material, patient, get back to this.
You let us know about the work, we're still on the.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, yeah, you'll do, and then again, you'll have, 10 minutes to do kind of an update on this one. We'll see if we can get some answers. Before then, we'll probably not pick up other information during the meeting itself, but this will be an opportunity to kind of make a presentation to the full board. Good.
Yeah, so, you guys need to subscribe for Thursday as well.
Bring materials that you're able to.
We sent them
Well,
electronic files for this.
Yes, that's all separate for the planning and zoning department. They need it for their records and, but you should be bringing in your own materials and such to present to the.
What we bring in, does it need to be cleared by you, or just bring it that night, because it's already been submitted?
Just bring it that
You
night.
need to bring it.
Hey, Jamie? Jamie?
Yep.
Hi, it's Jim Messenger.
Hey, Jim.
We're gonna make a request that the lead agency on the application include county IDA at their request.
Okay. Did we already declare this a type 1? I'm not sure.
Have to
I
check.
have to look at it.
Have to look at
I
it.
would think so.
I would think it is.
No, I just.
Right. So. Okay, let me look into that.
Okay. Kevin McAuliffe is doing the IDA application for the
Okay.
applicant here. Thank you. Good
Thank
morning.
you.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Appreciate it.
Good morning, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Do we have Herb Z on the line? Is there a representative from Herb Z?
I am here with Herb Z. I suppose I can speak for them. I was expecting them to be in here as well. All right. Anyway, I'm Pat Reynolds with Ian Newsy and Romans Land Surveying. I produced the site plan mapping for this project. So, I did not attend the original meeting, but I know this has been in front of the board. We had comments on this. We went through, addressed some of the comments, worked with the applicant to hopefully come up with a good mesh between what their vision is and what works with the town code. As
So-
such,
I'm just. What we're hoping to look for is get a full project update. I think we've got some questions about the use. My understanding is kind of what we have not made a recommendation yet for change of use. To this one, right?
Nope.
So we need to make a recommendation on change of use for the property. But we need to understand kind of what's going on. We've had some discussions from the last time that you were in front of us as to kind of what some of the expectations for the board were. And want to see if those have been addressed. And then understand what some of the internal function is.
Okay. So I guess if you could go over kind of what your expectations were, and then I can kind of piggyback off of that and see
Can you
if,
bring the site plan up? You have the site plan able to be shared?
Good morning, Pat. Do you need me to share it?
if you've got it handy,
So I think one thing is that the drawings you sent over indicate that there's a lounge involved with this, and that lounges are not involved at this location. So that's one thing. The other thing I think that the board wanted to take a look at is this is an existing bank with a previously existing gas station. So I think the board wanted to take a look at some of the architecturals and then maybe take a look at, you know, the drive-through and, you know, is that allowed and, you know, how's that gonna work? And we are next to a residential area, you know, what type of screening would be done? Those type of things is what.
Plantings, I think the last comment or one of the comments that was made at the last meeting was there's the old service garage on site, which nothing was gonna be done to that one because, you know, they're not occupying it. Is that? For this week. Right.
Okay. Are you able to
yeah,
see
let
my
me,
screen?
Not yet. There it is.
Can you see this?
Yep.
All right, perfect. I will say in respect to the lounge, it would be just a sit down area. And we were actually thinking of changing that out and just adding some more showcases there. And adding just some more like cameras and things like that rather than having like such a large sit down area. It would not be like a lounge in the terms of like consumption or anything like that. It was just like a little sit down spot for people. Kind of like a little waiting room almost.
So would the drawing be relabeled as a waiting room? So there would be no confusion in the future of what your explanation of a lounge is and what someone else's definition of a lounge is?
Okay, definitely. I'll have that label changed.
Just basement.
Did you want to see this drawing or the architectural drawings?
Have you done?
Yes.
Address that in the site plan.
Is there?
I mean, I think we want to look at the site plan first, don't we?
Yeah, look at the site plan.
There probably isn't. There's none, right? There's one, you gotta have at least two right, means of egress.
So with the site plan, you know,
That's a building permit,
right,
still.
well, still.
Yeah.
Start with the garage building that's there. Update us on what modifications and updates have been done there. We're gonna wanna see better planting. I don't think I've seen a solid planting plan for that area, for the whole site, frankly.
The current plan for that area, there's some shrubbery in, if you're looking at the building to the left side front in that corner there. The idea here was we've had a landscaper look at it, which we can talk about some of the other pieces in terms of screening and the drive-through that's in the site plan that we put in here. But essentially, at the end of the day, I mean, this area, what we propose is a cleanup effort, right? There's some overgrown 6-foot shrubbery in the one corner of the garage. The proposal is for us
to clean this area up. Seed it, mow it, maintain it, just to aesthetically clean it up from the way it sits today.
Do you have the existing site plan available?
We haven't added that shrubbery into.
Yeah, the
site.
shrubbery's not in here because it was, I don't know, Pat, do you have original site plans that show some of the native overgrown stuff that has developed over the years?
I've got a picture I took when I was out on site that shows some of it. And then as far as, I think if you flip to the existing page.
Oh, there you
Right
go.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've walked this site with a local landscaping company that we're working with. And essentially, I mean, at the end of the day, the idea with the garage, we're not, the only thing that we possibly use the garage for is storing vehicles and whatnot. And at the end of the day, I mean, we're just looking to, clean up the area a little bit, and, make it presentable from the way it sits today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna look at, I mean, this is a full site plan application, so there's a series of, checklist items that need to be addressed. There are modifications to the building, so there's landscaping that's gonna happen around them, building maintenance.
Which I think we addressed in the last page, all the landscaping that we're, proposing.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're trimming some shrubs, you got some mulched and small planting area around the building that you're using. The concern being the building on the corner, which is the prominent building, not necessarily the building with full use, but that brick building. Not a whole lot's being done to that. In fact, you've actually cleared out the bushy area and left it open. I think there is a tree that's in that little triangle space to the right.
Yeah, there
right
is
of the
a
building.
tree, just the coloring with the shading, it washed it out.
And then, there are street tree requirements. There's a whole checklist of items that the town has. So I think, that building. Someone say something?
Yeah, sorry, this is Doug. I also just wanted to make mention of some sentiments, the last concept review regarding screening and really kind of isolating this site in use from the residential neighborhood that's to Page Bottom. That's also I think a pretty important part of improving and developing the site is some real significant screening.
Yeah, I was getting there.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. I appreciate that. Thank you. So I think there's a lot more that needs to be done to this site.
Is this drive-through feature intended to be used as a drive-through?
Yes.
So is that, there's two bays, like does it have one of those like suction shooting systems?
It does. We would be only using the manual drive-through section of it.
I mean, I guess the question is then, should those other structures come down? I throw that to the board.
Well, you do that and you address the whole roof on that side of it. It's also a good escape lane, just in terms of bypass of cars. I don't know.
Is it an island? I can't see without it being blown up. Is it just a single?
There's a roof overhang that covers that.
I can pull up the architectural drawing.
Yeah, there you go. That's
there's access to this one.
And then there's two lanes of how to get your your business? John?
Yep, so it is set up to use the pipe system, but initially we would just be using the manual side. We would be looking towards using the pipe system later on in the future, just to make sure that it's fully functional and it'll work the way that we intend it to.
Is there, and again, these are just questions and I'm asking the board, I don't have an opinion about the curb cuts, the number of curb cuts on the site.
Yeah, I was also thinking about that too, Jamie. There's what, 6, 5?
Yeah, I mean, that's.
You know, and the site circulation.
Was there a question? I'm sorry, I was talking to Doug.
Yeah, yeah, I said, I don't know, there's a topic for discussion for the board is curb cuts, the number that there are in site circulation. Has that all been looked at and reviewed?
That and the stacking to get back to that road, I think, would also be maybe an issue if you funneled it down to one. How many cars could fit between there and out?
Right, we have, there are revised stacking requirements.
I mean, if you funneled it
was first done.
If you funneled it to one, I don't think you'd get 4 cars in there maybe. If you funneled it to 2, or you expanded to, obviously, but I don't know. You know, that's.
Yeah, I mean. Did you already send them one letter? So it was fine. And there was a response in there. Yeah, but okay. It doesn't mean anything. My opinion. Right, so I think from what we have in front of us, there is still work to be done in terms of landscaping, site access. You know, I appreciate the comments on curb cuts. I don't know, without a lot of site modification, that reducing the number of curb cuts is helpful. Right, because you'd have to.
It just may limit the flow, especially if there's doing a drive. We have to see the path of travel.
Yes, so.
The site itself, in terms of parking lot, is quite large, and it flows quite nice. I mean, there's that one island up here with two entries that flow into the front of the site. There's, you know, a flow through the drive-through, and then there's even another exit out onto
Midler.
Yeah, I mean,
I think what we're looking at right now is the fact you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 curb cuts for this property. Frankly, you know, you've got to drive through, you know, I mean, I don't know that there's a whole lot we can do in terms of the curb cuts. I think there's
are you proposing?
We issued you guys a comment letter previously, which I think we got some responses to when I was just looking at some of it here, which is, you know, we'll do this, you know, responding to the letter. I don't know that what's been put on here responds to all those comments in terms of, you know, additional plantings, you know, the landscaping, the building maintenance, or, you know, upgrade. I think we looked at the bank building, but I don't, and I know there are elevations in the drawing set of the garage building, but it's unclear as to kind of what work is being done on that drive-through garage building.
The drive-through garage, the drive-through.
Sorry, not the drive-through the garage, not the drive-through garage, just the garage. I mean, when I said drive-through, it's because it had overhead doors on the north side and the south side, but the overhead doors on the south side open up to the lawn and they don't actually open up to.
Yeah, like if you see, there's, I zoom it. Oh, did it quit on me here?
No.
There's three, you know, there is three garage doors. The one has an entry. I mean, the proposal again was to clean it up. I guess what I'm curious of, we talked with the landscaper is in this corner here, you know, that where that I don't know, Shrubbery Gone Wild kind of happened. You know, if there's a need to dress that corner up. But again, I mean,
Yeah,
so if you go back into the design guidelines, they'll tell you that on all these buildings, they require foundation plantings that are native to the area. None of those are depicted on the drawings. There's no landscape plan.
You know, this site buffering, you know, I think likely would want to see some sort of a fence that separates you from the rest of the residential neighborhood, cleaning up the site.
I mean, you know, the question for the board is, you know, there's 3 lanes for drive-through. If you're only gonna use one, should, like Jamie said, should 2 of the lanes go away, or, you know, should there be an added feature in there? Should there be landscaping, or, you know, something else other than just, you know, keeping.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's.
Keeping something there just because it's there, right? Because we're basically into a whole new site plan. But I also want to look at the stacking requirements. I have to see what our code says. Because I think there might be an issue with that.
So if I can ask, as far as the screening along the drive-through, one thing I was kind of thinking was maybe this more natural with the plantings, more of a filtered, just because there's a fair amount of lawn between the drive-through lane and the street. But there's some spots as far as the actual property line to the drive-through lane. We only have like 3 feet, which would have been down at the bottom, where the drive-through kind of runs into the parking lot. We got those 3 red viburnum bushes proposed there. We've only got about 3 feet there, and I was kind of worried if we have a fence right up on the blacktop, if we're going to be running into issues, especially during like snow removal, keeping that fence in good condition. So I guess I'd like to see, you know, as it kind of the board is leaning towards a fence type of screening.
If I put a preference out there, I'd like to put a preference out for the rest of the board to react to, because we run into this issue before, but I would recommend a fence along that west and south property line. Take the plantings that you've proposed in that southwest corner and move them out towards the street. And use those plantings out there, get the street trees in for our guidelines. But having the fence down along that south and west property in that corner there, I think is more beneficial than a couple of bushes down in that corner. So take the plantings that you have and use them elsewhere on site to meet the design guidelines, but put the fence down there and don't have any foundation plantings down around the base of the fence. Put the fence, we're allowed, what, 6 inches off the property line? So put the fence 6 inches, and I can't see where your property line is at the bottom of this drawing, so I would assume it's just off the parking in there, but put it 6 inches off the property line. You know,
I'm not
screen
sure
some-
there's 6 inches there is one of the issues with the way this Palmer Street runs parallel to the property. Which is kind of why at the end of the day, I mean, we proposed building this screen for the little bit of I guess residential that sits on the other side of Palmer Street to shield that.
Yeah, I don't think what's shown there is a substantial screen.
Yeah, it needs to address visual and as much sound, headlights, that's the intent. We're just very sensitive to commercial uses adjacent to residential uses, so it's really important. It's effective. I agree. I don't think some low plantings would be effective.
So as far as the screening, if we were to propose a fence along there, the goal, would it be more to kind of shield the drive-through, or is it something you'd want more of that solid screening running all the way out to Midler?
I would say a solid screen.
I agree.
All the way along to Midler?
All the way across.
That's what I'm saying, along that west and that south property line.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there are some existing trees.
Yeah, they've been washed out right there, but there's some locusts. Yeah. That are pretty large, actually.
I mean, it's not security, we need to put them there and.
I mean, is it way out of the realm? I mean, because as cars come around, they're obviously, they come out of the driveway and they straighten out before they hit this 18-inch locust here. I mean, is the proposal would be a fence all the way to this street? Is it proposed to just blocking this exit way? I mean, is that what the board's recommending?
That's what it sounds like our board is recommending.
I mean, that's pretty substantial, I'll be honest. I mean, we're looking to come in to the building. It's been vacant for a couple years. We're looking to clean up the place quite a bit. We've worked with some landscapers, but I mean, in terms of our business plan in those kind of modifications, I mean, that's going to be an issue.
Also, remember, this is subject to a specific use permit.
Well,
So-
totally, 100%. That we're aware of. We've gone down that application path already.
And it needs a recommendation from this board to be entertained. Have you gotten any word on that? Has the application been put in and accepted at this point?
No, all the items were dropped off. They're waiting on final approval from the planning board before we can be scheduled for a special use permit.
So this board has to recommend on the special use permit. So when was the application for the special use permit submitted?
The application items were dropped off, yesterday, I believe.
For the,
Are you, just for clarity, you're talking, the materials were dropped off for the ZBA yesterday, not the planning board, but the ZBA.
There's the ZBA, we just in case of anything, we just wanted to have a copy and everything there, just like, just there, and if we needed to change anything along the way, we would go and drop off like an updated version.
So the application for specific use permit to ZBA was dropped off yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a flavor of the timelines and so forth. So this board has to recommend to the ZBA on the specific use permit, or it won't, it's a requirement in our code. So I think some of these things are also applicable to the specific use permit and the use that's proposed under the regulations of 192-69.1. So I know that this board has recommended on 2 other cannabis retail shops in DeWitt so far. I'm not sure that the one on Bridge Street, I don't know if it's gotten a specific use permit yet, Doug, do you know? But I know there was a positive recommendation on that. There was a positive recommendation on
It's in the queue.
right. There was a positive recommendation and an approval on the one on Kinney Street. And just, just kind of to put it in perspective, the type of structures and what has been required for these uses on the specific permit level and the planning board level have been, have been appropriate to the specific use that's being proposed. So I think that this is a large site. It's a tired site. It's an unused site, but it still has to go through the same review process. And I know that one of the things that this board is concerned with is the proximity to the residential, and that is something that is important to the criterion of the specific use permit. So while it's technically an allowable location, it still has to go through those issues. So I think that's why you're getting the kind of review comments that you are, and just in general, and it doesn't really have much to do with the specific use. All of these sites that come in the town that have been tired and neglected, there is never an instance where it's not put through full site plan review. And I've been working with this board for over 20 years. So that's my 2 cents. If you don't know who I am, I'm the attorney.
No, that's understandable. We'll definitely take all the comments into consideration and follow up with our site plan person, Pat, and just kind of get some of those ideas onto the site plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still site work to be done on this one, so just take our comments, give them consideration, review our design guidelines, understand what we'll be looking, at as we continue to move forward.
Of course, thank you.
And then the other thing, can I ask that because I think we had the site plan materials that we have here. We do have building elevations, but can you add some more annotations to the existing or to the building elevations, both for the bank building and the garage, in terms of materials, what you're replacing, what you're painting, what your window, whatever? There's very limited information. It's hard for us to understand what you're proposing.
Okay. All right, perfect.
And then I would recommend you do a full code analysis on the bank building and your proposed use. I'm not sure that you're able to have what you want in the basement, but you'll have to do a code analysis on that one to figure it out.
But what is that question, Nate?
The egress out of the basement.
Yeah, there's a
Doesn't
lot
look
of,
like it meets current code.
The egress in the basement, like the stairs going upstairs?
well, your occupant load, I think, would be too high for a single means of egress.
Okay.
Even though the basement isn't general use, like, I mean, it's like a bathroom for staff and lunchroom. I mean, it's not like
I would just,
I think you need to have an architect look at it.
okay.
yeah, right.
If it's habitable, then you gotta have some way of getting out of the basement.
Yeah, I mean, there's a single means down there, but in terms of the use, the occupancy. You need to have somebody look at it and make sure that it's compliant. If it is, then great. My recommendation is just have somebody look at it.
All right.
What's everybody's thoughts if we got rid of the entrance on Midler? I know Doug had some comment. I don't know if he's still on, but entrances.
Yeah, well, my comment really is about circulation around the site. I mean, it looks like it's a right in, right out on Court Street. I think that's a little bit confusing for site circulations, combination of perpendicular and diagonal parking. I think this site, again, as Jamie echoed, it's a very tired site. It's been cobbed together over the years. This is what it is today. I don't think this is a great layout in general. If we were starting over, we would never do it this way. So we got to find a balance between trying to correct some of these strange circulation patterns in this parking layout, still make it work. I think there's a balance.
What is the parking count for this use?
That's the question.
I believe there were 80 parking spots.
84. It's in there.
It says 80 existing includes 2 accessible.
No, the question is, how many are required?
15.
Yeah.
So it's way
Say that
over.
again?
There's 15 required is what I came up with. If I'm not mistaken, it was 1 per 150 square feet.
On retail. Well, that's a question for the board. Should some of this parking be removed?
That's what I was thinking. And then that would give a more green area along that side by where the, was it a trailer park there, right? Or
It would help the intended flow too, like it would let you read where you're supposed to be going.
I don't know what was going on in that garage building before, but that is I don't get. A bank never required that much parking. Ever. Even in its heyday. Just that strange angular parking. I don't know what direction. I know that we have felt that the cannabis retail may require more more parking than usual. That's one thing. I am concerned about that stacking into Court Street Road. I wonder if the applicant has anything they can cite about the amount of traffic that would be expected in a drive-through, but I think it's going to be significant, and I don't think there's anywhere near enough stacking there. I mean, I'm just, look at the Starbucks, or, the amount of stacking that we required over on the Erie Boulevard Starbucks and the recent is much greater than what is there. And I think we need to see it. It's not shown, the stacking.
Perhaps this is something maybe I'm not too clear on, and I probably should have cleared with them first. But as far as the drive-through goes, is it something they can pull up and they can order on the spot, or is it they order ahead and then they would come in and like pick up pre-order type of thing?
So essentially we would be offering both options where you can go up to the drive-through and order there, or you can do like your pickups for any orders that you placed online.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. I have some ideas, and I just wanted to see.
I guess we'd like to see if there is a sample of any of this being done anywhere. I know it's new in New York. You might have to go outside of New York to give an example, but
yeah, that's definitely something that we can do.
I mean, amongst the many concerns, that would be one of my biggest concerns, is that is going to become primarily where can you go for your drive-through cannabis, and that's where it's going to be, and it's just going to be jammed, and it can't be accommodated from a stacking situation. And then the question is, again, I put this to the board because we're really trying to understand this for the first time. Do you allow the stacking to occur in the front yard rather than the green, and put the green someplace else? Because you are going to have a stacking problem on Court Street Road, I believe.
So I think there's two parts that need to happen to this, just because I want to be respectful of people's time right now. I think from the applicant side, you've heard our comments. You need to look at some of these issues and try and work through them. Doug in his office is going to review this package that's here in conjunction with our design guidelines and zoning. And we'll provide any final comments for this one. But I do believe there's still a lot of work that needs to be done on this one before we kind of get comfortable with a site plan approval for this.
I'm thinking that when they go back and look at these comments and we get something back in, there may need to be another work session before it comes back to the board.
And I think that's fine.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. From our board, is there any other comment, issues, anything else you want to talk about? Otherwise, we'll see you guys Thursday night.
Thank you.
See you Thursday.
See you Thursday.
Thank you.